All right, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Green White Checker TV. Tonight we have race number 2 of 12 of the Area 51 Super Speedway Truck Series here tonight at Talladega Superspeedway. Again, schedule basically going 2 for at Dega, then Daytona, and then back to Talladega for another round of 2 over there. So pretty much the schedule, of course. Initial 8 races to set our 8-driver playoff field, and then we head straight into the 4-race playoff. So obviously last week the big win for Gabe Butler, able to get through the carnage through turns 1 and 2, 3 and 4 on the final lap, getting the win over Dean Wilkinson and Eric Laurie, which will now bring us into tonight's race number 2. And I say we had a lot of fun last week, so we said, you know what, why not try it again here? So I am joined tonight once again with Maxwell Caldwell, Chris Matthews. Say Maxwell and I, we've been working hard pre-race. We're getting him all his computer stuff set up. He's going to be pushing buttons and turning knobs in the very, very near future. So that's going to be a lot of fun here tonight. And then, yeah, Chris, let's say, well, obviously, we've always enjoyed each other's company doing these races. So both of you, glad to have you. Maxwell, obviously a crazy one last night. And say we're going to kind of have you do the same thing as last week, leading off, kind of being the lead commentator here. Because, like I said, this is going to be your show here pretty soon. Getting ready to hand that baton over. It's going to be a fun one. I'd say a few more trucks, I think, than last week. Again, everybody gets a little bit more familiar with each other. And I think it's just going to kind of add to that fun.
Absolutely, Gael. Glad to be back. Thank you for having me back with Chris Matthews here. Gael Brooks in the booth. Got a lot of action going to be going on here tonight. So, Chris, I'm going to go ahead and ask you first, man. We had a nice event last week. Not too many cautions, but right at the end, saw some big crashes. You think these guys might have learned something last week to take this week a little calmer? Some guys have dug themselves a little bit of a points deficit after race 1. What are your thoughts about how tonight's race might play out?
Well, the guys that definitely lost some ground in the points game last week. For them, it's either all or nothing. Either they want to play it safe and just, kind of not step on anybody's toes and put themselves in a bigger hole, or you're going to go ahead and try to double down and hopefully get a win. We had a crazy ending last week, so we might have the same thing this week. Teammates are going to try to work together as hard as possible. We talked about the blockade, from those guys last week, so it's going to be a very interesting race to see. I think some people might try to chill out a little bit with some of the excessive blocks that they might have thrown, but I'm excited to see what's going to happen.
Absolutely. It's going to be exciting to see for sure. And Gael, we had you down on pit road last race, kind of staying behind the scenes, running the cameras for us, but also giving us those pit updates. The strategy we had last week seemed to be pretty straightforward. Do you think we see the same thing tonight? Because I know you were a part of the Sunday night broadcast where they also extended that race by 3 laps. So do you think it plays out the same, or do you think guys are going to start figuring out a little bit different strategies to give them a competitive edge here tonight?
I think it's still going to be pretty tight on that 3-stop strategy, especially with the trucks. It sounds like pretty much 19, 20 laps is pretty much the kind of the nail on the head for the fuel window. So based on that, I say with it being 78 laps, you pretty much want to go at least that 19, honestly, ideally the 20, because, I mean, that puts you in that 3-stop window, kind of pitting at 20, 40, 60, getting you to 80 with that little bit of a buffer past the lap 78 mark, of course. So I think it's going to be a very busy pit road. I think the only strategy will be kind of if maybe somebody can find a way to pull to lap number 21, perhaps. Other than that, though, I think that's going to be the big part of tonight, though. I think it's going to be pretty status quo. It's going to be a very, very busy pit road here tonight, of course, around the same time. But it looks like qualifying already has completed here, Maxwell, so I'll go ahead and pull up our starting grid for tonight. Because, again, he kind of had a little bit of a reprieve from the league here, but he's back in action, and he is holding nothing back, as it's going to be Kevin Freese on pole position in that number 25 by 7 thousandths of a second over Gary Jenkins. And you get Charles Johnson at the top 3, Gabe Butler, J.D. Crowe are top 5, then Tom Dixon, Vicente Guerrero, Eric Laurie, Doug Lemon, Dean Wilkinson are top 10. Continuing on, you have Robert DuPont, Robert Rock there for the Roberts in row number 6. And then you've got James Mohan, David Bond, Randy Miner, Jay Hilliard, Robert Jordan, Robert Duvendak. So another Robert, this time in row number row number 9. Then Derek Walker, Bud Steele, Bob Fitzgerald, Dan Harrington, Todd Siebels, and Guy Bracco look like will be our 24 trucks taking grid here this evening.
Absolutely, got plenty of trucks here tonight. The pre-race festivities here are over. They're kind of conducting the drivers' meeting now. So as we get ready to take off here just momentarily, the thing we're going to have to look for tonight is, does anybody have anything for Gabe Butler? Won the championship last season and then pulls it out and avoids the massive wreck last week to bring home the first win of this season. I got to ask both of you, and I'll let you go one at a time here. Is there anybody out here you got your eyes on that could stop Gabe from just the dominance he's had the past few weeks?
I'll let you have this one first.
Well, I'm going to say, I mean, obviously it's a big stretch, but I mean, it just depends on who's going to be in front at the time. So if we talk about Buttenarker teammates, I'm pointing Kevin Freeze. I think he didn't have the initial start he wanted to the beginning of this season. I think he's going to try to come off strong, but one that we enjoy talking about a lot, how much he's improved over the season, the couple seasons, I should say, Vicente Guerrero, the 14. I think that would be the non-Buttenarker that I'd be really watching as well. But, I mean, again, we've got some new teams, new faces, so it's going to be fun to see, but I'd say definitely I'm going to keep a close eye on the 25 and the 14 tonight.
Can't believe you took 2 picks. I guess I'll have to sit here and, I see him racing all the time, and anytime I do see him racing, I feel like he just gets the worst luck at the wrong time. And that truck's going to be Dean Wilkinson. I always see him pushing and pulling his teammates all the way around, but he always seems to get just in a little bit of trouble right at the wrong time, and just, there's no time left on the race for him to come back and try to get a win. But I'm definitely going to pull for Dean Wilkinson this time.
Absolutely. So we see a couple different drivers we got our eyes on through the field. Boys, if I had to chime in here, I am still waiting for a breakout season for that 14 of Vicente Guerrero. The man just does so much with so little. Not many partners out there, only one teammate that he runs with. But, man, he makes the most of it, and these guys respect him. He's always up front. But these trucks are coming through turns 3 and 4 now, getting ready to watch that pace car pull in. How do y'all think the start of this race is going to be? Do you think we're going to see nice and calm after the big wreck that ended a lot of guys' chances last week? Or do we see 3 wide as we come back to the stripe for lap 1?
Honestly, I'm looking at it right now, and whoever decides to get out in front, we might see the one and done for anyone that leads and they don't really want to sit in front the whole time. So you might get a couple guys that lead a couple laps. They go ahead and do some overtakes, and once they get that lap led, they're on the backstretch. They're definitely going to just pull off and sit in the back. So I think we're going to see a calm race. It'll be a little hectic in the beginning with some of these guys trying to do a one and done lap, but we'll see here.
Absolutely. So the pace car has pulled off. Kevin Freeze in the 25 is bringing them to the green flag. And here we are. We are taking off tonight for 78 laps around Talladega Superspeedway. Dead even as they cross the line. The bottom line starting to get a little bit of a push here into turn 1. We see them organizing really tight down bottom, but the top trying to make moves. But here comes Dean Wilkinson and Gabe Butler going to try to get the third lane going already, boys. It's getting racy right here at the start.
Yeah, so kind of a flashback from last week with Dean and Gabe kind of getting hooked up with each other. But actually looks like I think Gabe's actually opted. He said, you know what, I'm actually going to cruise a little bit further back. I think, like you said, Chris, not getting the lap lead, but looks like he just wants to cruise straight to the back here. Not sure if James Mohan had the same idea. Looks like he's going to unfortunately get dropped. Actually going to go 4 wide for a split second there. That's always a little dicey, even if it's towards the back of the pack. But look at up front, though. We've pretty much singled out for about the first 3 to 4 trucks here, as you got Vicente the first to peek out, but easily Kevin Freeze is going to lead lap number 1.
Yeah, you definitely got a little bit of teamwork going on here. Some of these guys might be knowing that they can dominate a race if they really have to. So sitting in the back's not necessarily a bad plan, especially when you have all your teammates and you kind of play the numbers game on that third row all the way up top. So if you can sit there and get your numbers, like you see the third row with a massive push right now, we might see these guys lead a lap on the second lap.
Absolutely. So we got the 25 of Kevin Freeze trying to pick up where he left off last week. Believe he was our pole sitter last week as well, or he was on the front row. So definitely had speed. Unfortunate set of circumstances where he got himself in a little bit of an incident, got a lap down, and spent the whole rest of the race working his way back. But he is currently leading right now. But I'm telling you, boys, at 14 of Vicente Guerrero, he has definitely got something to prove here tonight. He is showing that he can be a threat for this championship. And there he goes. He might not have led that lap, but, buddy, he is ready to make that middle lane work. But looking up toward that third lane, you've got Dean Wilkinson with some TW Motorsports help, devoted teammate, while Freeze and Guerrero, they are kind of stuck here. And we are 3 by 3 here through the pack going down the backstretch.
Yeah,
very easy. I'm sorry, very easy for these guys to check up a little bit if they get too much of a lead out in front. So we just saw Dean Wilkinson drop down to the middle, and that's decent enough for him, so he won't get a massive push and start the big one early. But these guys do need to watch out for how far they push out the lead car.
Yeah, and then what you're saying right there, Chris, too, is I think that also probably a little bit of talk about the teamwork. I say we'll jump back here and get a better view as Kevin Freeze leads that lap again. I think that was also kind of doing a favor to his teammate Robert Rock in the 171, because Robert was the one pushing him from pretty much about lap 3, I would say, all the way up through there to get towards the front. So that 171 truck probably was starting to get a little bit warm, and so at that point, as soon as Dean had a chance to clear, he went ahead and he jumped to the middle to let that 171 get all that fresh air on the front grille. And there goes Dean. He just clears it. Kevin Freeze wastes no time, jumps in front of him, and that's going to allow him to try to see if he can take the point this next time around. But like you said, Maxwell, it just really depends on which lane gets the push at the right time. I say right now that inside line has really made a big charge after that change from the 55 in front of the 25. But I say, like you said, wouldn't be surprised to see that Home Depot truck with Vicente Guerrero hook up and get another big push here shortly.
Absolutely. These guys leading the race right now, some of the best in restrictor plate racing. But speaking of some of the best, we've got to think about something interesting we missed out on, boys, through all this action. Do you see who's trailing at the very, very back of this lead pack? None other than last week's winner, the one of Gabe Butler. We know he knows what to do, but Gael, I started thinking about something here, and I'll let you chime in and let Chris come in after. But think about something here as we see Dean Wilkinson making the same move back to the back. We made a change this season. We had a lot of big powerhouse teams last season, right? We had TW Motorsports with 6 or 7 guys. We had Team Bootknocker with 6 or 7 guys really dominating the field and dominating these wins. This season, and it got reiterated over the week here between races, that these new rules, you can only have teams of 4 in the sport, and you can't split them up in 2 different packs of the same team. So, Gael, how do you think that affects strategies of teams like Team Bootknocker and TW, who are used to being such mega teams, only having a couple of guys to work together with now, and maybe even having to race against and try to outpoint some of those other drivers they used to work with?
I'm not too concerned about it. It's one of those things when it comes down to it at the end, you're still, if you have somebody that you work with and you trust, be it teammate or not, you're more than likely going to work with them. So I kind of go back to NASCAR when with Tony Stewart, Dale Earnhardt Jr. They weren't teammates, but if they got together, they were a very, very stout combo, and they would work together until it's kind of crunch time and kind of time to get the paycheck, if you will, and get the trophy. So not too worried about that. I think you will see, like I said, if you see, let's say, like a TW teammate like the Dean Wilkinson, Todd Siebels. I don't know if they're formally on the same team or not still again this season or not, but it'd be below this evening. It looks like. Don't see Cody tonight or BK, but like maybe he can chime in with some of the other drivers like Jalopy with Dan Harrington, Derek Walker. They got a 2-truck team tonight, so like add Vicente to that. It could be a little 3-car truck team to work together. So. I think there's still a lot that can happen, but what I do see from Gabe though is he's in good company because it's pretty much week by week. Todd Siebels, he just rolls in the back, waits, and says when he sees that clock dial says, okay, you know what, it's time to go. He'll make his move. He'll have a great pit stop, and he'll jump to the front of the pack and have a chance to win these races. So, obviously, you never can count Gabe out, but I really like. A little surprised to see him drop early like he did without leading a lap, but. I think he's got some. Oh yeah, we got trouble.
He's coming up on the apron, sliding. There's going to be a wreck.
Yeah,
some of you guys checking up in the pack, not able to keep it together. The 20 tried so hard, but he's going to spin to the inside. But I don't believe that's going to bring a yellow out, boys. He was well off the track by the time he spun. But
it's like a little tap from the 69 truck. It looks like. It looks like a little stack up in front of him. That accordion effect, if you will. I say nothing intentional, just unfortunately, Guy Bracco just catches the back of Derek Walker, and and at this point, it's just you're just trying to catch his truck as fast as you can, and you got the kind of the banked, and then in kind of response, then the 69 kind of sees what's happening. He reacts, he catches the 08 of Bob Fitzgerald, and then another additional contact between them. But you can see they all keep it pointed just straight enough, which is great in one sense, but at the same time is actually really detrimental because you've got now the top 16 together. Now, or sorry, top 17 together, but then look, you go to Dean Wilkinson, Gabe, Eric Laurie. They are 6.5 seconds now off these three in front, and that's the risk that we've been talking about. And that's why some of these drivers opted to stay towards the front. They don't want to lose the draft in case of an incident that does not bring out that yellow. So that's a tough one to swallow for these guys. They're going to have to really push hard here to try to make that gap back up, but it's going to be a long road ahead for these 5 trucks right now.
Yeah, definitely an unfortunate situation for these guys, but the one silver lining for everyone that's kind of running the back like Dean Wilkinson and the others are the laps aren't that long enough for the fuel run for them to kind of get lapped down. They're pretty far behind, but at the same time they're gonna have a fuel and a pit stop. So we've seen it last week where not everyone got to the pits clean enough, and I think that's where we had the first set of cautions there. That's something for these guys to kind of look forward to. For Dean Wilkinson, it's good to have Gabe Butler like that. If it was me, I'd be glad to have somebody that I know is a winner pushing me. And, he's a fighter. He's resilient. So that's something, there's some silver linings to this.
Absolutely. Checking back in now with the action up front after all those unfortunate incidents. We still have Kevin Freeze trying to dominate this race. Charles Johnson right on the back bumper. Really having a strong start to his season. Can't exactly remember where he finished last week's race, but I know he was up front really pushing with the leaders. So good to see him up front again. Vicente Guerrero, though, after last season's championship run, just didn't go the way he wanted. Had a lot of unfortunate events. He is up here battling hard this race, really trying to make his way to the front. But just plenty of drivers up here, right? Got the 90 of Jenkins, the 5 of Crow, just so many drivers. Caution, lucky enough, he was right here at pit entry where he will lose the least amount of time. That inside wall pretty hard, boys. I think that's going to have
by yourself. You're losing so much time on the straight that it's just beneficial for you to kind of just hope and lean on the hope of a caution happening. So for somebody like Robert DuPont, I would definitely be wanting a wreck to happen, unfortunately for everyone else. But if I was him, I'd just be leaning on a caution.
Absolutely.
And I think we're back up and I think we're back up and running here. So hopefully everything's squared away. Apologies for the technical difficulties. Had to do a little bit of work on the back end, but I think we are back live. So unfortunately we have missed a fair bit over the course of those hiccups. Obviously the initial incident we saw with Derek Walker, sending him down a lap. And then, of course, most recently with Bob Fitzgerald kind of coming across the nose of Doug Lemon, I believe it was the 617, also coming out across the nose and coming into the inside wall, hit pit road. So, yeah, so we got 3 trucks right now, a lap down. Guy Bracco as well as involved in that incident with the number 20 of Derek Walker. So
some guys are coming down right now, 2 or 3, including Vicente Guerrero and a group of others going to come and pit here. Do you go ahead and take 2 tires now with your fuel, or do you maybe hold off and do that later in the race, or do you get it out of the way now? What are your thoughts there?
I think you have to take enough fuel here. You should safely be able to take 2 tires, be it lefts or rights. Lefts should be a little quicker, of course, since you don't have to cross the wall, cross the truck, if you will. So I think 2 should be a safe approach here. I do think you want to take at least a set of tires, but it looks like you see Charles Johnson. I don't see that truck jumping anywhere left or right, so I think that's fuel only out of that 9 machine. And looking at the pit stop time, actually was a little quicker than some of his competitors, but you can see this is important right here, though. They come out all together here to get quickly reorganized. So we're going to jump back up front because you can see a very single file line here, very spread out. That's going to be a giant pack hitting the pit road. This is where, unfortunately, things got kind of unended for Kevin Freeze last week. He's hoping that it's cleaner this time, and so far on the pit road is good. Now he's got to try to make sure he gets around JD Crow, but he does have that number 1 pit stall, so he should be safe. But that's pretty much the entire field here on pit road. And look how much time closed by Gabe and Dean and company here. So this was a big, important pit stop for these guys as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. Go ahead, Chris.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say, yeah, everyone came into the pits pretty cleanly. You saw everyone kind of just stagger off to each other. One guy went very low, one guy went very high, kind of just stayed the course. And anyone that was a late breaker had plenty of options to go left or right to try to avoid a wreck. And I don't think we had any pit penalties. Like everyone got in pretty nicely.
Absolutely. Didn't see any big lockups, anything. Timing and scoring will tell if anybody did have something, but here's the part of the race where if you get a really good pit stop, you might be able to gap some of these guys, and if you get a bad one, you're really going to be stuck behind. But I think this pack coming out of pit road will be able to get reorganized in about a lap and a half, and it'll be a full pack again. But Kevin Freese maximizing this pit stop, looking like he's got a teammate there in the 5 able to stick with him, timed it perfectly. These two would hope that some of those other guys behind wouldn't have gotten such a good stop where they could easily just pull away here, but I guarantee you this pack will be with them within the lap. So just to reset things here, folks, we've got Kevin Freese leading, JD Crow in second, Randy Miner was third, Charles Johnson is rocking around in third place now with his pack of cars. Got a few of these other guys coming around. So definitely good pit stops all the way around here. But, Gael, like you pointed out earlier, something to note. You know, we're used to seeing 3 and 4 different laps that some of these guys all pit on, and then they all blend together. But we had 3 cars on lap 19, and the whole field, the rest of the field coming down lap 20. Do you think the lap changes we've made has kind of took some strategy out of this?
Oh, squeeze play there between Vicente and Bud Steele there. Vicente saw that opening and he's able just to get in front. But yes, I do think that the 3 extra laps has definitely changed the strategy a little bit. There's not as much wiggle room as there used to be, like I said, because with it being 75 laps, you'd have a lap or two that, like I said, you could kind of go a little early, maybe go a little later. But now at this point, I mean, like I said, I think you...
Oh, we got contact. Oh, and 2 of them are around there in the tri-oval. Here is the yellow. Caution is out. Look like some guys battling for room. And Gael, we'll have to go back to the replay, and I'll let you break this all down. But definitely a spin on the front stretch. We saw him aggressive with Vicente taking it 3 wide. Looks like guys just all fighting for room in the same real estate here.
Yeah, it looked like, I think you're right around towards the very front of the field. That's a big break for a lot of drivers. I believe that the beneficiary of this one for sure will be Derek Walker, showing as the first car 1 down. So again, he was kind of the innocent victim on that earlier incident that didn't bring out the yellow. So let's go back and see how this all kind of came to play. We're going to focus on that 9 of Charles Johnson here. So let's get a better look at it here. As you can see, just to his outside is the number 59. And actually it looks like maybe net code, not sure, but the 59 Jay Hilliard and Charles, they just kind of get together there, and then you can see, I mean, at that point Charles is just along for the ride, and they kind of just bounce off each other a couple times, and they both kind of go for that ride around the grass. But the one concern is right here, you see right there, Charles does spin inside the pit exit cone, and usually they'll try to clear those ideally that way, because obviously it wasn't an unsafe exit, they just had an incident on track. So that being said, though, for where they were on track, for this to just be a 2-truck spin, probably counting their blessings. But one thing we were just talking about, Maxwell, the fuel strategy, this caution opens up that window a little bit. Now, you talked about being pretty much a 1 or 2 lap window. This will make it about maybe a 2 to 3 to 4 lap window now for these guys, because I think everybody's going to come in here, at least get a splash of fuel to kind of just help their chances out a little bit. Of course, green, white, checkered, but this does open things up a little bit. And like I said, the big beneficiary right here, that 20 Derek Walker, he will now get that free pass, that wave round, to go back on the lead lap.
Absolutely. So definitely going to change strategies. We didn't really have a caution until the end of the race last week, so we couldn't really see any differing strategies here. But now this makes it really interesting, doesn't it, Gael? We've got all kinds of different people. Some might stay out here and try to gamble for some track position that they have not had all race long, while others are coming down, getting these pit stops completed, and giving themselves options, right? If you want to go ahead and take your 4 tires that you maybe didn't take before, now would have been a good time to go ahead and get a fresh set on, maybe roll with those the rest of the race. I don't think you would need a tire change at this point throughout the rest of the laps here. But definitely shaking things up. Now we'll have to really watch to see if these guys milk out the fuel tanks the rest of the way, or if they're going to actually back off and try to save some fuel and maybe go that lap or two longer to maybe fit in a fuel window. We know that the strategies really come at the last pit stop, so it's all going to come down to if they've got to take that second can of fuel or not. And really, if this is the last caution, some of these guys seen an early caution, they may want to go back and say, hey, there is a chance that there's going to be another yellow because cautions breed cautions. Maybe they go for max fuel save here. Others are just going to go for it knowing that it doesn't matter when they stop. They're going to have to get fuel regardless, and they're just going to try to race hard here.
Yep, exactly right. I was saying, well, let's see if we can get some insight here from one of those drivers that doesn't have any formal teammates in the race tonight. That's going to be that 14 of Vicente Guerrero. So, Vicente, we know you got at least some help from Cody on Sundays with those IROC Supras that you got. I know you're working on BK as well, but kind of a lone man here tonight in that number 14 truck. Made a big move there prior to the yellow there. I mean, how do you go about this? I mean, do you just feel like you're on your own, or do you try to do a little bit of kind of like sales pitch, if you will, like, hey, why don't you let's work together tonight? We don't have a full team between the three of us. I mean, how do you work this, Vicente?
I guess I'm just gonna have to be patient, and well, obviously it didn't look like that on the broadcast, obviously, because I almost got into a butt, I believe. But anyways, have some patience, work with whoever wants to work with me. But I definitely do have them in my thoughts, my teammates, so that kind of helps too, I want to just make them be proud of our team that we have going, So if I'm the lone wolf up here by myself, with these guys here, I think it's pretty good, but I'm willing to work with anybody. I probably won't have a good chance to win, but I will definitely probably help to push somebody to the win.
All right, well, so you're in a good spot here. Obviously, that caution opens up a little bit of a fuel window. So I see you, Kevin, and it looks like Randy Miner also doing a little bit of apron riding here. Obviously, still good to go from here on 2 stops to the end. I mean, is this one of those just a little bit of breathing room in case of late yellows, or do you feel like this maybe does open up a little bit of strategy for either maybe like a short pit, kind of because obviously that last time around everybody's pits at 19 or 20. Do you feel like this gives you guys a little bit more wiggle room where maybe it's not a giant pack of 20 trucks hitting pit road altogether?
Yeah, I still think it's still going to be a 2-stopper because what's like 53 at the line, and we can only get maybe 20 at the most. I think it's still a 2-stop race. So, but yeah, it kind of would probably dictate if they want to make it, the 2-stopper 3 different sections almost equally. I don't know. That's possible.
Yeah, it'll be fun to see. So we'll let you focus up. You're about to hit in turn number 3. So good luck, Vicente. Like I said, I'm sure your teammates rooting you on. So let's see if we can get that single truck, I should say, team to victory tonight. Like I said, and do a little bit of sales pitching for BK and for Cody to get on track with over here on Thursdays too, man.
Yep, sounds good. Thanks, guys.
All right.
I was going through some of the cars in the in-car view, and I was listening to some of these guys. It seems like some of these guys are still trying to save some fuel. They were cutting off their engine, just coasting for a little bit. They might be, getting ready to go green right now, so they're getting ready to line up. I see some people still, coasting around. But interesting strategy there. I didn't think these guys would, trying to save fuel this early in the session right now.
Absolutely. We're seeing that this yellow is really changing some things up, shaking it up. Speaking of shaking things up, the pace car is in. Look at all the cars on the bottom lane, some that just stopped. Only 8 cars that did not top off here, and we are back under green. Kevin Freese still in control of this race with teammate JD Crow on his outside. Vicente Guerrero in third, being the second car in the bottom lane. He's going to push really hard, but the outside lane is going to try to get organized. But look at all these guys here in the back. They don't look like they're trying to make a ton of moves here. They look like they're going to try to milk some of these fuel tanks here, try to save as much fuel as they can. Some of them are going to jump up to that second lane to give some support, but definitely these guys are going to have a pretty tame restart here after our first yellow.
Yeah, it doesn't look very tame up front for those top 2. Bud Steele is just shoving the 5 of JD Crow as hard as he could handle pretty much. And then we got to talk about some new names, new faces popping up there. Obviously, we talked about Bud a moment ago. You got Charles Johnson hitting pit road, and I think that was unfortunate. We talked about that hitting going on the inside of that cone. It looks like he is going to have to serve that penalty. I've never been a big fan of that one, unfortunately, but looks like he's going to serve that one. But I was going to mention, look at Robert Jordan, the 74. He is working his way up towards the front here as they started in about the 17th spot, now up in the top 5. And they saw Bud Steele try to make that third lane happen. Didn't get the momentum he needed. Derek Walker tried to work with him, but he's going to duck right back in line. So, however, talk about being the lone wolf. He's going to try to do it like he said. He's going to get some help from one of the teammates of Kevin Friesen with ease. He's going to sneak to the front there. So we'll see if he can get a lap lead here out of 3 and 4.
Yeah, pretty big shove that he got right there. I was surprised I was able to handle it and get down all the way to the bottom. But something I'm noticing with these guys that we didn't see much of last week is there's just a lot of snaking going around. I like to use that term snaking. You know, these guys are just going left and right down the straight. And when they get to the turn, it seems like the car's just not fully planted. So you see these guys kind of come up. There's a lot of lines on the track. So if you're seeing these guys kind of, go straight along those lines, they're not necessarily holding their line too well, especially in the middle. I think there's just a lot of air disruptance going on there. So something to look out for. We've already had one caution through the trial like that.
Absolutely, and something I'm noticing on this restart compared to the last, we're seeing some of these trucks really wiggle around in the middle lane. Seems like this 3 wide starting to disrupt the air on some of them. Looks like we have one driver maybe blinking in and out up in the lead just for a minute, but definitely got some guys thinking points here. Boys, we haven't talked about that here much tonight, right? The points championship, even though we're only race 2, you've got to think about bonus points. You've got to think about what it's going to take to win this championship away from Gabe Butler. And look, right here at the 25, he has not left this lead very often, trying to lead the most laps here tonight. That's going to give him 1 extra bonus point if he can pull that off. I'll let both of y'all chime in on this. And super speedway racing, how important do you think some of these bonus points really are? Because I know we're going to have a reset for the playoffs, but I mean, I've seen some of these championships come down just to a point or two, but what are your thoughts? We'll start with you, Chris, and we'll go to Gael.
You definitely want to hold on to as many points as you can, get your money's worth throughout the season. And I think it really comes down to, do I have a chance to win this race, and do I have a chance to win from, X position? If you're at the front and you think that you have a chance to win the race, you're going to try to stay out, do all your blocks, and try to stay out front. You could be like somebody sitting there like Gabe, who's, a past champion, where he's not necessarily battling in the middle of this race like everyone else is. He's sitting back, he's chilling, he's kind of bringing out the second group on the single line. And if there's a wreck, he has plenty of places to go, fortunately. And these guys are already getting big wiggles down the front pack right now. So looking at this right now, this is going to be a great points day for Gabe Butler if we see 6 of these cars in front of him decide to have a wreck.
Yeah, and you definitely want to collect any and every bonus point you can, because I mean, it seems like it's without just, there's a certainty every season I should say, bonus points play a role in either making the playoffs or even making the outcome of who wins the championship. I've seen races and just playoffs where it's 2 points, let's say, between 8th and 9th position, and so you go back, okay, 3 points for an incident-free race, so you go back like, oh man, if I didn't get caught up in this one wreck, I'd have been in. And so yeah, so to me, every point matters, and I would probably be being similar than Gabe, but the thing is, it's that risk versus reward. Of course, being up front, it's riskier, but of course, you also are at the front in case something happens behind you. Like we saw tonight, there have been a couple incidents, no cautions from it, and so it really put the Gabe and Dean and company in a really tough spot. Luckily, they got the caution they needed. They recovered from it, but that's the risk of staying towards the back of the field. If there is that incident and you have to slow down to avoid it, but we don't get that caution, there's your track position gone. So it's definitely a really touch and go situations for some of these guys. So that being said, I still would probably be where Gabe is, because I get very tense when I'm sitting where, let's say, Derek Walker's in that 20, right in the middle of these guys. You got nowhere to go. You're completely boxed in. All you can do at this point is just try to keep that truck as straight as you can. And I mean, for me, I was death gripping it when I raced a couple of times with these guys, which I will be doing again hopefully soon. Once we get our full strength back, we'll definitely be crashing the party here a couple times. Hopefully not literally with these guys here tonight.
Absolutely. So looking at this front pack, we're seeing a lot of racing action going on right now. The 25 definitely leading the way, showing that he is the dominant truck, the force to be reckoned with, I should say, but definitely getting some competition from some teammates. He's got the 071 of Eric Laurie really giving him a fit, and up there earlier, wanted to highlight him. He's not really up there at the moment, kind of falling back here a little bit. But a guy just having a good night compared to last week will be that number 5 of J.D. Crow. I mean, just a horrendous wreck last week early on. Didn't get the yellow for it. Went a lap down. Went all the way to 3 laps down, I do believe, at one point. And fought just to get any few of positions he could. And come back for a middle to back of the pack finish. But definitely showing strength here tonight. I don't think he showed us our full hand, but guys, what do y'all think about that 5 truck? He looks pretty stout here tonight, does he not?
Yeah, JD Crow is always a very strong contender to win this race if things definitely happen at the very end. He's always there at the end. I would say this guy's a kind of a, where did he come from type of attitude. So you sit there, he's sitting all the way in the back, all the way up top. He's pushing this whole pack up top, and that's something to look for at the end of this race, where I think he's going to start pushing some of his teammates. I'm looking right now how far he's trying to push this third line right now, but these guys are dead even coming to the lap 35.
Yeah, no, JD Crew's always one to watch. I mean, I've got to watch him race for a few seasons now, and he's just, it's one of those things, the same thing where he's always been improving, and honestly, it's kind of as similar as a Vicente. Like, he's going to always be a threat for potential wins if the brakes turn his way. I say it'll sound rude, but say maybe not quite at the level of like a Gabe Butler, Kevin Freeze yet. But honestly, like I said, I think just if brakes go the right way for him, I think that's exactly where he'll wind up being, as one of those perennial guys that you just like, yep, that's exactly where I expect to see JD. And like you said, though, last week, I mean, that was just a week to forget. So you kind of put that one behind you and you're like, all right, you've made it past lap 2. You're like, okay, things are going better than last week. So I think that's kind of sometimes the mindset you have to have. So I'll say, like, right now, yeah, he's trying to work with Derek, see if he can push that third lane, because right now you've got 2 of the 3 lanes controlled by Bootnocker. You got Eric Laurie now leading that middle lane, Kevin Freeze still rocking the inside line, and then, like I said, you got JD pushing that number 20 of Derek Walker. So, I mean, they're all right together, and the one I'm watching, too, is Dan Harrington, 82 truck in the middle, pushing the 071. That is a teammate to Derek Walker, so do we see at some point, do those 2 try to get lined up together to maybe make a charge together or not? But right now, it seems like that 5 and 20 working very well together here.
Absolutely, and pointing out some of these guys that are having really strong runs from where they started. Dan Harrington up 17 spots, currently in the 5th position. Derek Walker up 16 now, maybe even 17 in the 2nd spot. Oh, and we got an incident with Vicente and Kevin Freeze. Big wreck here on the backstretch. Lot of good trucks taken out in this, and the yellow flag is out yet again. I was getting ready to ask you guys about the pit strategy going to be coming out, but this yellow will change everything.
Yeah, so let's go back, take a look. But yeah, unfortunately, tough break for that number 14. Like I said, it sounds like, yeah, look at that nose of the Kevin Freeze. Definitely some damage to that one as well. And I think the caution may have came out just a little bit after all of that had just gone on. So we're going to try to get a good look to see where this all kicked off. Because, and again, you never know where's the safe place to be. And this time, this is at the absolute front of the field here. You see the 14, you see the 071. And I'm watching Eric Laurie, just wonder maybe just got a little off-centered potentially. But I mean, you see right here, so far looks completely squared up. And actually, you can see right there, Eric's just a little bit off to the left. And that's all it takes. He's maybe a half a truck off, and then just nothing Kevin Freeze can do. He gets a good shot from in the front of that 25. And then the question mark, of course, is, okay, now here's where that yellow is going to be. Unfortunately, see Robert DuPont also. He was going for the lucky dog, so he gets caught up in that one. The 617, unfortunately. Doug Lemon, big hit along with the 69, I think that is the 33. And let's just add it for good measure. Add Bud Steele to the mix there as well. So, yeah, a bunch of trucks involved. 08, Bob Fitzgerald, nowhere to go as well. Then we talked about the drivers that were riding in the back. Look at Gabe Butler, Dean Wilkinson. They're stomping on the brakes, trying to make sure that they can get through this thing. We'll pick up the speed a little bit. and that is why they did exactly what they did. Look at Gabe still had to actually almost come to a stop, just about lost it with the banking as slow as they were going there. So unfortunate incident there. As everybody else is going to hit pit road. So like I said, we're going to see everybody in here, and this kind of goes back to we're going to lose the pit strategy really again here, Maxwell, because we're going to be pitting right around, what, 40 to go roughly. So that's going to basically make this right on the edge of a one-stopper, as if this was going to be a 40-lap race instead of a 78-lap race.
A lot of these guys stopping here, Gael. If I'm doing the math here, we're starting lap 38, so they can make roughly 20 laps on fuel. That puts it at 58 and 78. They're going to be absolutely stretched on the fuel here to make it. I'm talking no room for a green, white, checkered in this fuel strategy here. So here's my question for you two. If we're literally 20 and 20 on the laps here from when they've pitted, and I know we've got a caution lap or two here, but I don't think it's going to really be enough to help with any green, white, checkers. Do you maybe come in and top this tank off with one to go to at least get you one attempt at a green, white, checkered if we were to have a yellow? What do you guys think?
Yes,
it's definitely the safe bet to just go in and take the fuel, especially if you think you're going to have a green light checker at the end. There's nothing really holding you back, position wise when you have 40 laps to go. You can definitely, with the right help, you can make it right back up to the front. We've seen guys kind of just drop off to the side, and when they felt like going, they're about 6-7 seconds back from the lead pack, but they start picking off the stragglers, and you can make that time back. So I don't think there's really any penalty for anybody trying to go back into the pits. I don't think positional starting is a big deal right now.
Yeah, no, top off for sure. And yeah, it's gonna be a little bit of a fuel saver, I think, now, where you're gonna have to pretty much fill it to the absolute brim of these things. So like I said, I think it's gonna pretty much, without a yellow, of course. I mean, if it goes caution free, these guys are gonna be pitting basically as late as they can, filling it absolutely to the top and then going from there. So don't think we'll see much strategy. I think a lot of drivers will most likely be top off. Do need to mention as well, beneficiary of that caution, Charles Johnson back onto the lead lap. And I do see a couple trucks, actually, no, surprisingly, they're going to drop onto pit road. I thought we would see them take the wave around and get back on the lead lap here, the 7 and the 411, but looks like they actually are going to hit pit road here as well, which, yeah, pretty much you've got the entire field here rolling onto pit road. Save one driver to say, you know what, I'm staying out. Jay Hilliard in the 59. He's going to be a lonely truck up there, so he's going to have to do a little extra saving. But it looks like Kevin Freese, Derek Walker probably going to win the race off of pit road for that splash of fuel. And so, yeah, so we're going to restart this thing on lap number 40 here, which should, I believe, put us at 39 laps to go, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, so it's going to be basically at 2 full cans of fuel for this final run to the end.
Tell you who this really worked out for here with everybody topping off with one to go. That would be Robert DuPont. We remember his incident earlier in the race. He was able to take the wave around here. And I believe, Gael, correct me if I'm wrong, believe that's going to put him back onto the lead lap with these other drivers here. So puts him back in the race at a really good point here, coming to 40 laps into this event. Going to be completing lap 39 this time when we take the green. So definitely interesting strategy here, and definitely going to be interesting seeing these cars grid up, because I'm pretty sure with so many cars topping off with the one to go, this will be a single file restart if I'm correct.
I think you're exactly right. Yeah, with Jay Hilliard being the only one that stayed out, yeah, we're going to have a single file restart here. And for a split second, it looked like Charles Johnson was going to wind up actually restarting at the pretty much the front of the field, which actually looks like he's getting himself back in position to possibly be doing so as he got the wave around, but everybody else was topping off. I think usually the top off kind of it puts you wherever you line up. So Charles Johnson, he gets the wave around. He's going to restart right inside the top 5 here in the 4th position. And also similar goes for Doug Lemon and for James Mohan and the 411 of Tom Dixon. They're laps down here, but they're actually going to be restarting up with the leaders, almost kind of like IndyCar, where they don't kind of move the lappers to the back. So this will be interesting. Really, honestly, Jay Hilliard, he could really throw a big wrench into everybody's race right here. I would kind of just, for me being the one that enjoys chaos, I jump early here, make everybody kind of catch everybody off guard and have to try to catch that draft back up, because this could be very intriguing if he does that. But it looks like he's going to wait for that green.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
And that green flag is out here at the Talladega Superspeedway. We are restarting again, coming to lap 40. Looks like a 3-car breakaway here at the start. Wondered how quick they would get side by side. Looks like the second lane is starting to form already. Definitely got the 411 there. The Team Extreme guys are going to line up. They're going to try to get that lane going, but that inside filling up so quick. Here comes Eric Laurie with a big run. Does he jump in front of those guys and try to take his truck to the front? Looks like he's going to slot in the back behind Charles Johnson here. And these top 5 trucks are single file, but here comes some guys in the back ready to mix it up going into turn 3.
Yeah, definitely looked like a couple people were caught sleeping. I don't think they realized that they were all single file. I think you were just kind of looking at the car in front, or the truck in front of them. But we can see that Kevin Freed's giving a real hard push to Jay Hilliard, and we already see these Team Extreme guys all the way on the outside. They might lead this lap.
And actually, I think what we're seeing right here is actually some teamwork, because right now the truck leading the 411 of Tom Dixon, he is 2 laps down right now. That truck behind him, James Mohan, is 1 down. So they could actually, if they could play this to perfection, get that 7 and the 411 in front of the 59 Jay Hilliard, they could actually kind of net 3 laps back for their teammates here, with the 411 getting 1 of the 2, and then getting the Lucky Dog as well, being the only truck 1. Oh no, I'm sorry, actually it'd be Guy Brack on the 69. Apologies. But yeah, they could get the 7 back on lead lap. They could get the 411 from 2 to 1 down. But right now, position-wise, David Bond in the 33 Skull truck, he is on the lead lap. So right now, kind of net again about 5th position or so in that 33, but working very well with those Team Extreme teammates of his.
Absolutely. So we see this pack, even though there's a couple lappers up at the front, it's making it real easy on this bottom lane, just kind of knowing that that's not for position, that they're just kind of hanging out, riding out. And, you know, I kind of feel bad for Jay Hilliard here. We know the fuel window is close for the guys that did not top off here, which is just the 59 of Jay Hilliard. But you think Kevin Freeze and J.D. Crow and Charles Johnson might be using Jay as a pick here, using him as a guy to lead the pack and burn his fuel more than them. I'm not seeing a lot of big pushes from that 25, which makes me think even the second truck in line might be lifting and trying to save a little bit of that fuel for those green-white checkered attempts toward the end of this thing.
Yeah, you said it a lot nicer than I would have. I was actually about to pretty much call Jay a sacrificial lamb, if you will, in that number 59 truck, because, yeah, right now I think they're just, it's like, yeah, you break the air, you kind of do that. We'll just cruise right behind you, but here comes those Team Extreme trucks. You see the 411 Tom Dixon. He does get now to the tail end of 1 lap down. That's a big opportunity for him, and also James Mohan. He now sitting right at the edge of being on the tail end of the lead lap. So this is honestly probably one of the best case scenarios for the 59 now. Jay Hilliard, I think he needs to do exactly what Kevin Freeze is doing. I don't push too hard. I just cruise here. Save that fuel, because again, you're maybe not a full lap deficit, but I mean, you did run 1 full lap under yellow, so they're going to have probably a little bit more fuel than you, and you just led about 5 or so laps from that restart. So I think for Jay here, you just go full save, just try to do everything you can. So we'll have to wait and see. And as I do need to say, this popped up, and I'm definitely excited to see this. We got a rooting on for Charles Johnson, that number 9 truck. And I say that's from none other than my dad. So always good to see him chiming in here and peeking into the race. Can give a great update as well. Obviously last week was pretty wild from last Thursday to this Thursday, but big improvements over the last 24 hours or so. And I mean, it's the happiest I've seen my dad in a while with getting all these tubes and wires and all these things off of him. So fingers crossed, if all goes well, maybe a chance to go home tomorrow from the hospital, but can report he's doing a lot better. So definitely been appreciating everybody's prayers and well wishes and everything. It's meant a ton to us, of course, and him as well. So however, while we're doing that, Bud Steele's like, I feel like he probably sensed the presence of Jim Brooks, and he's like, I'm going to go to the front. I want to show off for my buddy in that who will be in the number 51 machine. But man, it took no time though. David Bond said, not so fast. I want to get to the front here in that Skull truck.
Absolutely. Seeing a whole lot of jockeying for position here. Thought a lot more drivers might be on that fuel save strategy, but this is Area 51. We know these guys like to put on a show from green to checkered. So they are definitely doing that tonight. Getting a great run on the outside is that 90 of Gary Jenkins in that Ford, getting pushed by the 25 of Kevin Freeze. So guys, we have been really deep into this race. Kevin Freeze actually going to make a great plate racing move, just squeezing down to the bottom, taking that momentum, killing the 90s, and he's going to take the lead. And that actually leads me to the question I really want to talk to you guys about for just a moment. Who do you think, after watching the first half of this race, who's got the fastest truck in your opinion? Who's the guy that you are picking and keeping your eye on for that victory here tonight? Who do you think's got it? We'll start with you, Gael, and then we'll go over to you, Chris.
I mean, I say if I'm going to do my usual, I'm going to pick half the field, but I do got to mention that move by Kevin Freeze, that is a teammate in the number 90 of Gary Jenkins. I say I think a new addition to Bootknocker there. So playing no favorites there with his teammates, a big move. And so yeah, so right now you got that 25. But honestly, as that truck's getting a big push. I was going to say actually, I think right now Kevin Freeze, oh my goodness, Gary Jenkins returns the favor there in 3. Kevin looks very strong tonight. Obviously had that little hiccup with the 14 earlier, got caught up in that incident, but Kevin looks strong, and it seems like he's able to get that truck back to front at will. So I'm going to go right now with that 25 Kevin Freeze, and I'll just pick that one truck here.
Looking at this race, he hasn't necessarily been up front a lot, but man, has he been pushing some cars to the lead. I think JD Crow has a very strong chance to be the guy that gets pushed to the lead and be able to hold it. I think it's time, long overdue, to get a win and show these guys that he is good as Gabe Butler, not being rude or anything, but he is good as the rest of these guys in this league that kind of sit there and dominate, might not get that win, might not get the podium just due to a last lap crash or anything like that, but JD Crow is my pick for this race.
And guys, y'all are kind of surprising me. Y'all didn't pick the one truck of Gabe Butler. Are you kidding me? One of the winningest drivers in this field. We know we don't see him right till the end, right? He's kind of mixing it up here now. But I'm going to pull a guy out. I've actually got a second driver that I've equally got my eyes on here, and he's not made a lot of noise tonight. But want to give a shout out to that 55 of Dean Wilkinson. He is always hanging out, waiting for that right moment. A lot of times riding with Gabe Butler, and it's nothing for that 55 truck to sneak up there even without his teammates and be right there in the thick of it for the finish. I know that Area 51 is not the only series that he goes and runs restrictor plate races in, so definitely got a lot of speed in that truck, and I just think these two in the 1 and the 55, they haven't showed their hand yet. They're sitting here just, I say they're patiently waiting. They're up in that third lane, but sometimes that third lane is really the comfortable lane when you don't want to just ride around and you don't want to just save fuel, but you really don't want to run all the way up to the front yet. Sometimes that third lane is a great place to ride because you don't have any side draft off a car on that outer lane that really messes you up. But definitely see these guys running their way to the front. A little bit of movement from that middle line, but you've got teammates right there with the 5 and the 071 trying to catch some other Team Bootknocker drivers, and I can't keep up with who's on the 4-car teams anymore, but definitely I know they're associated with the 25 and the 90 up there, and Gabe Butler is starting to make his way to the front with that 55 of Dean Wilkinson, so maybe the time to lay back is over. Maybe it's time to get some of those bonus points for leading the lap to pursue that championship. I say this 6 of this top 7 is definitely drivers you're going to be watching trying to make the playoffs this season. But 3x3x3 coming into the Tri-Oval. Don't know who's going to lead this lap, but it's definitely getting action-packed as we get ready to start lap 50 of 78.
Yeah, and again, I say new to the league here, but obviously not one new to being to the front of these super speedy races, and that is that number 99 of Robert Duvendak that Gabe is pushing. And he had a really good showing last week until that unfortunate late race incident kind of took him out of contention. So, and that's honestly what it is here. Is like I said, I mean, you can have all the skill in the world, but I mean, there's always going to be that luck elements where that's going to be the thing to put you over the tops. And you see the 99 just clears the 5 there right in front of the middle lane there. That's how tight these guys, and these guys trust their spotters more than I think I could trust my own wife, because man, they make moves and you don't think they're gonna fit there, and somehow it might be a sheet of paper in between them, but they make it work, and it's very impressive and honestly a little bit nerve-wracking at times.
Yeah, I definitely feel like I lose a lot of weight once I start sweating in the middle of these races. I've loved it being here in the booth. I sweat just as much as I am on the track. It does give me that itch though that I do want to get back out there and try to get with these guys. Not making any wrecks, but definitely try my hand at it once or two times. But looking at these guys, they are running very close. That middle line is kind of trying to side draft the bottom line here. So we're coming with under 30 to go, and I'm not sure if these guys are going to give and take anymore. I think this is going to be all take.
Absolutely. These guys are running really hard. And notice when that 99, when he made that move, it really killed the third lane's momentum, right? It kind of made them check up a little bit. It's taking them just a couple laps here, but a three-man group up in the third lane with some powerhouse drivers. You've got Gabe Butler, the 1, Dean Wilkinson in the 55, and you've got the 62 there all in line, pushing super hard to try to get up to the front here. Definitely making some moves in this field. But notice, pay attention to some of these guys just hanging out in the back. Guy that got his lap back, Robert DuPont, sitting there just hanging out. Todd Siebel's there hanging out in the back. We see this a lot. A lot of TW Motorsports guys really just biding their time, waiting for that opportune moment to start making their way through the pack, and maybe even waiting for some of these guys to wreck, because if you think about it, some of the guys in our last crash really have a hard time now because they got in their second incident of the race. Like Bob Fitzgerald in that 08, he had to leave this race earlier and retire from it because he'd gotten in 2 incidences and really tore that truck up where he didn't have a fast repair anymore. So some of these guys may be playing it smart, playing the fast repair game, kind of waiting this out, while others are still willing to take the risk, knowing they've got another fast repair still in the books. So definitely some aggressive racing, and look who has made their way to the front, boys. It is your previous and reigning series champion, Gabe Butler, in that 1, working that third lane just perfectly. Look how smooth that truck handles around the corners. And as he runs up to the front, battling teammates in the 25 and the 90 as he comes through the tri-oval.
Yeah, basically clears the middle lane, drops immediately to there. Saying peeking in on the YouTube chat as well. Checker Flag Motorsports, they got the ring and a half for that number 99 of Robert Duvendak, but it's like we talked about. He says the same thing. If he can find some help there at the end, and that's, I think, the critical thing. You can get there, you can be in position, but you gotta have friends or just somebody who you're willing to trust and able to trust. And so, I think Robert's been able to prove that last week a little bit more again this week, being one of those drivers getting to the point a couple times here tonight. So I do think he's going to be one to watch still as well. I still have a hard time going against Kevin Freese. But yeah, right now, and that's what we love about plate racing is you just really don't know. Even as you come out of turn number 4, there's times where you just still don't know. But what we're going to see pretty soon here, though, guys, is we're at 25 coming to 24 to go. Talked about how tight that fuel window is. We might see about a 19 truck pack hit pit road here in the next 4 laps or so. That's going to be something, I think that could be the kind of the make or break portion of some of these trucks races tonight.
Absolutely. Some of that fuel strategy that we're going to see could be all over the place. We know some guys stopped with 1 to go. We know that one guy actually stayed out, Jay Hilliard in the 59. Notice he kind of dropped back to the back to try to probably save a little bit of that fuel he was burning. He knew the game they were playing with him, so he's right there at the tail of that big pack, probably just trying to save some fuel to get on the same strategy. But definitely got some differing fuel strategies we're going to see here at the end. Some guys are going to milk it the extra lap or 2, so that last run they've got room for a green, white, checkered, and some are going to be coming right with 20 to go, just hoping they can make those last 20 laps. So do you guys foresee any issues maybe coming down pit road with all these different strategies now? Or do you think we'll still see a very large pack all come together to try to make this last stop together?
I'm trying to look right now to see where all the teammates in the back are trying to gather up. I see some TW guys. I see some Team Extreme guys. seems like they all might try to figure out whoever makes the first call out. Those guys might try to get together. As we see the second lane or the outside lane kind of disintegrating a little bit. These guys might they're starting to set up for these pit windows here. But another thing you want to do is you just want to be by your teammate, not necessarily bumper to bumper with him, but you want to be by him just to know where he's at. That way you guys can kind of coordinate a little bit better when you guys are coming to pit road. But the lead right now is getting a little bit fiery. I think these guys are still trying to battle pretty hard here with 2 or 3 laps to go before the pits. And we had a big wiggle in the back. Then we have a car on the apron.
Yeah, so taking a look to see. Looks like everybody's gathered back up. But yeah, it looks like it was actually Robert Rock that had the moment. But he's going to hang on to that truck. The risk, though, is if he's going to lose the draft, he's going to probably try to get some help from Todd Siebels. But what I was going to mention, you mentioned about the teammates, which is a great point here, Chris. Right now, you can see inside line, you've got the 1, the 90, and 25, all part of the Bootknocker organization. On the outside, the 5, the 071 Eric Lorry, also part of that team, but right now, trapped on the outside. And I think that's their incentive right now. They want to push Robert here to try to find a way to maybe sneak in with their teammates. But the thing is, like you said, it's not always in your best interest to maybe pit with your teammates. Because it's very easy to kind of just step on each other's toes, if you will, and you have to make sure you know each other's pit stalls. Because I mean, let's say someone, actually we can use Kevin Fries and Gary Jenkins. Kevin started first. Gary Jenkins qualified in the second position. So as they run right now, Kevin would actually have to come around the 90 of the 90s pit crew. And sometimes you kind of lose sight of your pit board. So that's a very difficult place to be as well. So that's where you have to be on top of it with your drivers, your teammates, kind of in communications here. But I think that second lane, I think we're seeing maybe a little bit of teamwork here, or we're going to see a bunch of drivers hit pit road, and that's exactly what we're going to see. We're going to see a chunk of drivers hitting pit road, coming to 20 to go. And it's getting close, a little bit of contact there, but everybody hangs on to it. So far, so good. So we will be splitting by 1 lap as these guys pitting 20 to go. Looks like the Bootknocker is going to split an extra lap here as they're trying to get themselves situated, because this is where you want to get that big in lap. As you see that now they get settled in here. Now you get that 5-truck draft working together.
I think we saw Jay Hilliard gain like 8 positions just off the apron.
Absolutely saw big gains on pit road, and as we started this next lap, heard the 25 on the driver's chat here say he was pitting this time. So definitely look for this line of cars to all come down pit road together. As we see the big gaggle coming out of the pits, we're about to see probably the rest of the field here and a lot of heavy hitter drivers. Yes, here they all come down pit road, and watch for that one of Gabe Butler to really make a lot of time on pit entry. Definitely getting in the stall hot. Now we're going to have to see, did anybody speed on pit road? Did we get any penalties? We'll have to watch for that, but it's looking clean so far. This is the race for the finish. You want to be the pack that comes out on top, but here these guys come down pit road, and they might just have a little bit more fuel in it, but that's going to be just enough to maybe get them a second out of that stall earlier. And it looks like maybe a driver, did that driver miss their stall, Gael?
I think that was I think unfortunately the 20 is a little bit off sequence, but man, pit stop here is going to be Todd Siebels. I think he may have short-filled that truck a little bit, not worrying about green, white checker. He said, you know what, I just want to get to the end of this race and nothing further. So Todd's going to hook up behind the 69, but right now it doesn't look like the 69 is quite up to pace here. So he's going to lose a little bit of time here going through the gears on the apron. That's not what Todd is going to want to see, but he does have drafting help at the very least. But this is, yeah, you see there goes the 69. He's going to just go straight to the top, but unfortunately this is going to cost Todd a lot of momentum. There they go. Those 3 Bootknockers going to line up together, swing right on by the 1, 2, 3 positions, and now unfortunately it's going to be up to Todd to play catch up here.
Yeah, even though these guys have went and pitted with 20 to go, they still need to go ahead and try to, lean the gas a little bit, not go all out. I like to see these guys kind of try to make sure that they can save, because we have a green, white checker, then say we have a yellow with 2 or 3 laps to go and the yellow comes out. They still have to go around the pace, the track and catch up to the pace car. So they might run out coming to the yellow trying to catch the pace car.
Absolutely, but we see that these groups have rejoined. A little bit of a 3-car breakaway, but I'm telling you, it's not going to be for long. Look at Todd Siebels, worried about him earlier, but he's got a big pack of cars he's running with, and I guarantee you coming out of turn 4, we're going to have a huge pack of momentum trying to make their way around these boot knocker guys, okay? They're going to try to make the move on the high side, and from there, it's going to be control the race. At this point, you cannot be worried about fuel. You've got to trust your fuel numbers. You've got to trust what's going on. You see these guys circling around that 20 there, that off strategy he had, not able to work well for him. But see these guys starting to gain some big momentum. I would be shocked if they stayed behind. Here goes Vicente Guerrero, going to be the first one to make a move to the outside. Is he going to have anybody go with him? Lone Ranger so far, and that's really going to cause him to stall out, guys. But here comes some others in the back of the pack, going to try to make this second lane work.
Or they're just going to drop him straight to the top. He's going to have to get back in line there, it looks like, in the bottom. There he goes. And yeah, there goes Dean. He's going to jump up top as well. So Charles maybe thought about for a split second, said, you know what, I might be able to get to the point here, but look at Dean Wilkinson. Somehow is going to split the middle here. Ooh, close there to the 69 there. The third lane really just fizzled out there for a split second, and Vicente wasting no time to take that momentum. He's going to jump along with Dean here, and they're going to make the charge. And I do wonder if we see the reasoning, maybe the 45 said, you know what, I'm going to save a little bit of fuel like you talked about, Chris, because again, everybody else was about 12, 11 seconds on pit road. He was 9.5 seconds, so to me that says that's probably roughly maybe almost a gallon less of fuel out of Todd, and that's what shortened his pit stop. So I do worry a little bit for a late caution for him, but right now I think these other guys, they feel like they've got what they need. They can go full rich to the end, as Dean Wilkinson's just getting a nose ahead here as they head into turn number 3.
Looking just a little bit behind. These guys are starting to break up a little bit, trying to figure out if they're trying to get up in different areas of the track, but I'm not sure if they're just having a little bit of handling issues or just don't want to be the spots that they're at right now. But seems like they're doing that all while drafting, so moving cars and moving objects is not the funnest thing for some of these guys behind them. So I'm looking at guys, all the way in the back, people like Derek Walker and Dan Harrington. Some of these guys might not like exactly what's going on in front of them. It was kind of scary to me when I see a bunch of cars wiggle and they're not necessarily all the way in the front.
Absolutely, and I tell you what, talking about wiggling, we're seeing this pack really get racy here. The pit stops are over. The race to the checkered flag is on. And notice the players we haven't seen all race long up front. Look at the one behind the 25 of Freeze. And look who it is. We barely talked about him earlier, right? But he's one of my picks just because of watching these guys hang out so many races. That 55 knows how to lead some races when it comes to the end. He says it's time to go. He's got an aggressive pusher. Vicente Guerrero had some incidents earlier, but has since recovered from that. Charles Johnson with the wreck he had. Look at him getting ready to try to take the lead. And Vicente going to make the move on the 55 and go 3 wide here. He wants to get in front of that fast 25 truck of Kevin Freeze to try to take the lead here. Definitely some aggressive racing going on here, guys.
Yeah, I think Dean Wilkinson and the 14 car, I think the 14 was waiting for the 55 to come all the way down, because both of them were clear to go and take off the bottom and put some of these boot knocker guys all the way in the back, but he didn't, so Vicente decided to go ahead and lead the race, I guess.
Yeah, one of those don't mind if I do situations there, and I mean, I think that's perfect for Vicente, because right now he's got control now of that inside lane, and I say now if you're Kevin Freeze, Gabe Butler, Eric Laurie, like, well, oh, contact in the back. Charles Johnson, Bud Steele make contact. Charles up in the wall.
Oh, are they going to save it?
At the moment, Derek
and
Walker.
Here goes some more spin. Still going on.
Oh, there it is. Caution
still
is
bring
out.
out the yellow flag for us here tonight. So take the fuel strategies we had, throw them out the window. Savior here probably for the 45 of Todd Siebels, who had pitted and took a little bit short of fuel. But, man, that's the second incident for Charles Johnson. I'm not so sure that truck won't be out of the race here tonight. But, Gael, it's time to take a look back at this incident, at this very long incident, and see just how all of this got going.
Yeah, I think it kicked off, unfortunately, right around, I think it was nothing intentional. I think it was just drivers trying to push a little bit, maybe pushing a little too hard with Charles Johnson, Bud Steele, trying to make that third lane work here. You see them on that third lane there, the 6 and the 9 trucks, and I think they just get a little bit off-center, like we saw earlier with Eric Laurie and Vicente Guerrero. You see the 6, he's off to the right-hand side of the 9, then in trying to get lined up, there it is. That little bit of contact just pushes Charles up into the wall, and at that point, he's just along for the ride, and then you can see for a split second, we're going to go 3, 4, 5 wide here, And at some point, something's going to have to give, and it's right there with the 59 of Jay Hilliard, 20 of Derek Walker. Todd Siebels just gets by there, then unfortunately a little bit more contact with the 6 and the 20. And then at that point, like I said, they almost have it, and then just this last contact, just that's gonna throw the wheel off for the 20. You can see the tires of that car, or truck, I should say. He is trying to chase that thing everywhere, and he almost had it saved. And then at the very end, unfortunately, catches, as I said, and of course the way it works, catches his teammate Derek Walker, and then look right in front of the path here. You got the 5, and the 9, and then we talk about more teammates there. JD Crow and the number 90 of Gary Jenkins, they make contact with each other. So unfortunately, some damage for them as well. So, yeah, unfortunately, a handful of trucks involved here. Now, like you said, the question mark is going to be fast repairs. Who has them? Who needs them? And do we see any strategies here? Maybe anybody topping off just in case, like maybe a Todd Siebels, for instance. Again, he was pretty tight on fuel. Looks like answer is no. I think only pit stops are going to be for drivers involved in that incident. And then, of course, the next thing I mentioned, Lucky Dog James Mohan finally back on the lead lap here in that number 7. It's going to bring us back to 20 trucks on the lead lap. So what we're going to do, though, we have a second. We're going to step away, catch our breath, get ready for this late restart because it's going to get wild. So stay tuned. We'll be back in a moment.
Right, coming back here, getting ready for the restart. These drivers making their way through turn 2. 1 to go here. We're going to restart this race with 9 laps to go here at Talladega Superspeedway. We've had some great action here tonight, but we've definitely got some steep competition up front. Guys, I would definitely expect to see here. Let's run through your top 10 really quickly here. First place, we've got the 14 of Vicente Guerrero. Outside there is Dean Wilkinson in second. Kevin Freeze in the 25 in third. with the 33 of David Bond in 4th. Gabe Butler is in 5th place. Doug Lemon there in 6th. Eric Laurie 7th. Todd Siebels with the caution he needed in 8th place. Robert Jordan will be 9th place, and rounding out your top 10 will be Jay Hilliard. So definitely some top contenders up here. I know we've got that 25 that you two got your eyes on here tonight, but definitely we see some players. I know, Chris, last week we talked about it. The 14 of Vicente Guerrero, waiting to see that win. He is in these positions so many times. Maybe tonight could be the night for him, but we've got heavy hitters like Dean Wilkinson and Gabe Butler that are right there looming some of my picks to get it done tonight with their veteran experience. But I tell you what, boys, the pace car is off. These trucks are heading into the Tri-Oval, making their way to the Geico restart zone here at Talladega, and we're going to have yet another restart, but I won't say it's our last because we don't know that. But the green flag is out, bringing to a slow restart. Some guys sleeping on it, but Vicente Guerrero definitely on the loud pedal here as they're heading into turn 1. The 25 getting right to that bumper, but note that 14 is going to have a hard time knowing that the 1 is right behind the 25, and we know how fast those two are when they're together.
Yeah, if I'm Vicente, I'm definitely going to be wishing that, these two guys stay behind me. They broke up a little bit. It looked like there was a little bit of a bump right there, but I'm hoping that the car on my outside doesn't get in front of me so they can kind of get blocked in. These boot knocker guys can get blocked in. But you have no better pushers than the two guys directly behind you. So we're going to see Dean Wilkinson on the outside try to get a good push and try to take the lead with 9 laps to go. I think what's going to happen right now is that third line is going to try to form up very slowly and try to take it right at the very end unless there's a caution.
So, Gael, I'm going to give you this. Do you think the 14 here has to play it smart? He knows he's got 2 teammates behind him. He cannot let them get clear. Do you think he has to manage the gap to the 55 and the 6 here on his outside to make sure that they are constantly stuck on the inside of those 2 trucks? Or does he let them get clear here and take the risk of getting past as Kevin Freeze goes to make the move here? That's what I was worried about, Gael.
Yes, the answer is no. You want to keep those 2 locked on behind you as best you can. But obviously, if Kevin gets an opportunity, he is going to waste no time to jump to the front there and say. And honestly, I mean, and that's exactly what Vicente is going to do too. If he gets an opportunity, he's going to try to jump to the middle in front of Dean, and it's just going to be that leapfrog effect. But I got to say though, right now, that third lane of Bud Steele there and the 99 of Robert Duvendak, it's just 2 trucks, but they are holding tight with these front runners. I got to say, big hats off to those guys. And now they're going to get the help they're looking for. You see Charles Johnson, he's peeking into the mix. You see Robert DuPont, he's going to join the party as well. So that's going to propel that lane even further here. But yeah, I think for right now for Vicente, I think he's going to have to probably just live on that inside line. That yellow line is going to be his best friend here. That way you don't have to worry about anybody cutting to the left of you. So yeah, like I said, with him kind of being an odd man out on the team side of things, I like where Vicente is, but he's definitely going to still have his work cut out for him, especially if any of those lines wind up clearing him in that 14.
Absolutely, and Chris, we see maybe the 9 didn't use his fast repair earlier in this event. He is right back in the thick of things up here. A lot of guys that have had unfortunate incidents right up here in the front. And Chris, look at this. 3x3x3, almost 6 rows deep it looks like. Definitely got to see who's going to win this one, don't we?
Yeah, it reminds me of my morning commute to and from work. I have no clue what the guys in the middle want to do. There's nowhere you can go except push or go all the way into the back. So if I'm sitting there in that 3rd or 4th line, I'm pushing for all it's worth. And if I feel like that's not working, I'm going to go to the back and go either outside or inside. It seems like they got a decent run going on with Kevin Freeze kind of leading the pack and Dean Wilkinson trying to get there, and we see Kevin Freeze go to the back. So now you go from the 3rd lane all the way to the 2nd lane. So that 33 car is not looking too bad right now, where he can kind of just push the 55 around, and if he decides to get him all the way down to the bottom, it's his turn. If he times it right, he'll be the guy that's leading coming to checkered.
Absolutely, and Gael, as we come to just 5 laps to go, we see Vicente Guerrero had the lead, has now lost it. We've seen him in these situations many a times before, and not to talk bad, but this is about the time we see the 14 make a really aggressive move to try to get the lead back that normally ends in a late race yellow or him really losing a lot of spots here. What do you think the strategy could be for that 14 to try to maybe pull off that first win finally and get up here and get a win this season, knowing that so many attempts in the past have just failed him?
I think what he's got to do is the first thing is I think he's going to have to cool that truck off a little bit as best he can, and then he's going to need to try to push Kevin Freese clear of that middle and outside lanes, because he's going to have to find some way to get to the middle or outside lane around Kevin Freese. But it's kind of the same situation, though. He hasn't been able to push, kind of like where we talked about him trying to keep Kevin trapped behind him. I think Kevin now having to try to keep Vicente trapped next to Dean and the 33 of David Bond and company. But we've been watching these two in the middle and the bottom lanes, but it's actually been the outside lane, though, of Bud Steele and Robert Duvendak. They have done a great job. Every so often, they edge just ahead of each other of the inside and middle lane. So it's a crapshoot. I think it's going to be all about, man, that 25 is getting all the push he can handle. You can see how much he's having to catch that truck there, even on the backstretch. But yeah, I think right now it's really going to be who has the temperature left in the truck. If we can go green to that white flag, and then from then, of course, all bets are off. My thought is it's going to be who has the push in the engine left. Keep that water, keep that oil in check. That's going to be the race winner, is who can get the late push at the right time, which right now it's really anybody's guess. And there's actually, look at that big move by Kevin Freese. He jumps top or middle, surprisingly, opens up the door here for Vicente.
I think that might have been a mistake there on Kevin Freese's part. Knowing the 55's fast, he's expecting that big push. But man, the 14 is so aggressive, and he's got Gabe Butler on the back bumper to really work that bottom lane well. But that outside lane, something I've noticed here, Chris, is that outside lane. Let's see if they do it again in this corner as Bud Steele comes to go to the middle lane ahead of Kevin Freese. Look at him not actually running next to the wall, kind of sharing that lane with the middle groove, running them really, really tight. How many more laps can they do that without incident, or do you think we might see some contact to bring a late race yellow out with that much side draft going on off that top lane?
Yeah, if you do that too many times, you're going to disrupt the air. And even though it's a simulation, they do simulate a little bit of air deflection with this game. So with these guys being in the middle, if you're going to get squeezed from both sides, all that ruffling of the wakes, if you can imagine the wakes in the air, the middle, you're just going to have so much turbulence. So you'll see the guys in the middle come up, go down. They won't really have any control of that car as it's moving around. So you get a good push or a bad push, I would say, out the corner, you might see a bad wreck right out of 4 or turn 2.
Man, right now, though, yeah, it was a big move. You saw Kevin Freese had to try to do something. He got to the inside of Bud Steele. He gets to the lead on the inside line, but you're talking about how far can they go without a wreck. If they can go half a straightaway here, more through the tri-oval, this will be it. If there's a wreck, we would finish under green, but it's not going to get there. The caution's going to fly. Coming to the white. Yep, exactly right. It wouldn't be green-white checker TV without a commentator's curse, Maxwell. And we are going to have a yellow as they were coming to the white flag. Unfortunately, numerous trucks involved. And this is going to, we questioned the fuel mileage here. This is going to put some trucks in very, very dangerous territory on that fuel mileage. But first, let's go back, Maxwell. We'll go see what happened because, yeah, so that commentator's curse lives strong within me.
Absolutely. And note that we did not take the white flag, so we will have a green-white checkered here. But let's look at this incident. Looks like just a bump gone wrong. The tri-oval, the trucks can unload so much. Tries to correct it. I believe that's the 33, right, Gael? Trying to correct
33 David Bond, yep.
And just comes up into that outside lane. Charles Johnson, maybe just a magnet for wrecks tonight. He survived a lot of them, but this one's definitely probably going to take him out. Huge hits to the front and rear of that truck, but just multiple trucks right here at the end getting taken out, and just unfortunate. But look at some of these guys really holding the brakes and staying back here. They could be in a great points position on this next restart. But definitely, Gael, I'll let you go through some of these guys. A lot of trucks taken out in this one.
Yeah, unfortunately, you can see a number of trucks there. No, last second, say just to make matters worse for that 101, Randy Martin gets another shot at the very end. But you're exactly right. I mean, I'm looking at Robert Rock and, another shot there, Dan Harrington as well with the 411. So, yeah, just kind of bad to worse there. But, yeah, like you said, Robert Rock, he's going to be able to kind of sneak through this one. It looks like pretty much unscathed. And then, of course, a couple others getting caught up in that one. So we'll jump back live because I think what we're going to see here is going to be drivers that pitting are going to be the ones, of course, that were in that yellow. And yeah, there's the 33, the damage, the 90, that motor's popped. He's going to be going for a faster pair. And then there's Randy Minor, of course, Dan Harrington. So yeah, actually, yeah, JD Crow missed that, but he's got some significant damage as well, along with that 411. But you know what I think this saves here? Derek Walker, I believe. Again, he's just had such a tough night, but he's gonna finally have a last gas chance here, getting back on the lead lap. So big break for this 07 truck, as I believe it was the previous restart. He kind of just lost the draft and was never able to recover from it. So, but what I do see, Maxwell, not a lot of trucks went ahead and hit pit road here. Even like Kevin Freeze last pit at lap 59, Vicente Guerrero 59. Even some sooner, Dean Wilkinson pitted at lap 58. So this is going to be pretty tight on fuel for a handful of you guys. If we get to attempts 2 or 3, again, there are 3 attempts. This will be attempt number 1. So the way it works, if there's a caution before we get to the white flag, just like we saw a moment ago, they will rack them up and do it up to 2 more times. And on that third and final attempt, if there is a caution, the field will be frozen at the time of the yellow. That will be our final running results. But honestly, the ones I like right now, kind of, again, bad luck turning into good luck. We saw Bud Steele in that incident earlier with Charles Johnson. He pitted at lap 67. Robert Duvendak, they're going to line up on the outside together, also lap 67. They should have fuel to the end, even if we go to all 3 attempts. So the 699, they could be in the catbird seat with where they sit here on that fuel. So this is going to get very interesting.
Yeah, you see the guys not taking the actual racing line here. They're on the apron because it's a little bit easier for the truck. They don't have to put as much gas in. They can just coast. When you're up on the track, that truck's going to use a lot more gas, and you might actually run out. I think these guys are good to the end, though. But you're never going to not stop saving fuel. I think it's what Kevin Freeze is looking at right now, and some of his teammates are doing it as well. So we're going to see here what's going to go down.
Absolutely. So getting ready to come here, and we'll see if the pace car gives us the one to go as they come to the line. But got your running order here. Kevin Freeze dominating this race, finding himself in all kinds of different spots there toward the end, but comes out on top here for this next restart in control. Bud still in second. Vicente Guerrero still very well in it in third. Robert Duvendak in fourth. Dean Wilkinson fifth. Gabe Butler sixth. Eric Laurie 7th, Doug Lemon 8th, Robert Jordan in 9th, and Todd Siebels rounding out that top 10. Definitely some people in this top 10 that were playoff contenders before, as the pace car lights do go out and the field does get double file here. Talked about some of these guys maybe worried about fuel. Look at these front runners getting down on that apron. Why are they doing that? They're taking that shorter distance around the racetrack, trying to get all the fuel in the pickup they can, and they are clutching, trying to coast and save just as much as possible. And yeah, we've got an onboard here just showing these guys, really letting these engines, you can see the tach rev up for a minute and just hitting the clutch right there. Just letting them coast on this apron, saving every drop they can. Now that we've got 2 to go, I'll give you guys one last chance. It's kind of like a fantasy lineup, right? Do you have any changes to who you think's going to win this, or are you still sticking with your guns on your picks from earlier? We'll start with you, Gael.
Well, seeing as my guy's going to control this restart, it's kind of hard to change from him. But I say I won't be lying if I say I kind of got that sentimental rooting for the 6 of Bud Steele. Saying I caught the quarter panel there, that the Unical 76 logo that he's got on that truck. I say probably kind of a little shout out to my dad, one of the paint schemes he ran before. So I say sentimentally, I can't not root a little bit for Bud, but I still really like where Kevin Freeze is. But like I said, he's going to have friends, but look at around him. He has no teammates within about the next 2 rows. So it's going to be fun to see. But yeah, I can't help but stick with Kevin.
Yeah, definitely. I'm going to stick with my guy, too. I'm sticking with Dean Wilkinson there in that 55 truck. He's third in line, and he can really make or break this race for the guys up in front. Definitely like to ask you, and ask the fans as well. I think we haven't really got them into the race, but what do you think coming to the green?
Absolutely. I'm looking at that 14 of Vicente Guerrero. I keep waiting to see that guy come out on top. but we still got my 2 picks there in the 1 and the 55 in row 3. Ready to take this restart. Green, white, checkered, attempt number 1 of 3 here on Green, white, checkered TV. Race 2 getting ready to come to a close. The green flag is out, and the 25 definitely getting a great start. And look at the 14 right to the bumper of the 25 as we go down this front stretch and head into turn 1. The bottom lane's always going to have the preferred start, but do we see maybe Kevin Freeze move up here to the middle lane and start protecting because he knows they're going to get a run coming down this backstretch?
Yeah.
Outside line's definitely going to be a hard one to beat. If they can get that nose out in front, it's going to be over for Kevin Freeze because he's going to have to push a car, go all the way out wide. So going to need that bottom line to push just a little bit harder. But if that outside line definitely kind of breaks up like it is right now, I think they're trying to form that third line. That middle line is going to drop back just a bit, just enough for Kevin Freeze to figure out if he wants to block both lines or just the one.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. You saw Gabe, he took the third lane. He's got Todd Siebels going with him. And like you said, it lost a little bit of momentum for Bud Steele, but they're picking it back up once more. Kevin's going to have a nose ahead, it looks like, coming to the line. And this time they will cross the start-finish line. So this is it, our final lap here. 1 to go at Talladega, 1 attempt. As Gabe Butler, though, he gets the push he needed from Todd Siebels. He gets the point, sneaks in front of that 6 of Bud Steele. Now you've got the 25, the 1, and the 45 leading the 3 lanes here. Now, again, we'll see what the temperatures look like because, again, we've seen motors pop late. So right now you see Vicente dropping to the apron, getting a little bit of a breath of fresh air there as they head into 3 for the final time.
Absolutely. We see teammates side by side. 2 picks here, the 25 and the 1. Super strong, but there's Dean Wilkinson still in the back. We've seen Rex on the front stretch change these races dramatically. The 1 really backing up the middle lane. Vicente's going to maybe get clear. Does he make the move to the outside? He's going to stay behind for now. He's trying. He's getting... Oh, he's going to spin Kevin Freeze for the win. And coming to the line, who will get it?
I believe it's going to be in the thousandth of a second right now. Timing scoring showing Gabe Butler may be our race winner. We'll go back with a look. We saw some contact at the end there as well. That took a couple trucks out of the running. But it looks like it may be back-to-back wins for Gabe Butler in the number 1. And that's gonna be a salty one for Kevin Freeze. Again, nothing intentional, just they were pushing for all they were worth. But we're gonna go back. Let's take a look one more time coming out of turn number 4 because that's when everything really started to kick off there at the end. So we can kind of get a good look to see how it all unfolded here. So give me 1 second. We'll go back and take a look. Because again, obviously, you can already see there's the contact in the back. You see Eric Laurie, he's already going around in the 071. In that truck for Eric, and then you see it catches the 90, catches the 617, and then again just a little off center. Again, you see the side-to-side movement for Vicente. We'll go focus a little closer on them, and then we'll take a look, and you see right there just gets off-centered there. We've seen that twice. This was the 3rd time, unfortunately, and this time sends Kevin Freeze down into the grass here. And then we'll see if we can get a good look at our start-finish line camera here. Because, like I said, it was thousandths of a second between Gabe and Vicente.
Actually down to the 4th decimal place. They are within 1/1000th of a second. So they are within a 10th of a thousandth of a second. And it's going to be oh so close. Man, I don't know. That almost makes me think the 14 and just timing and scoring didn't catch it.
We're going to find out here because what we can do now is say I'm not going to trust our ticker here. We're going to get to our official timing and scoring window, and we're going to pull up those final results before we get to those interviews. And like you said, yeah, it's showing on here. It is Gabe Butler will be our race winner. Like you said, it went to the 4th decimal place between the 1 and the 14. And then even look at 3rd, Dean Wilkinson by 0.02 of a second over Robert Duvendak. Bud Steele brings it home in 5th. And then Todd Siebels, J.D. Crow, Robert Rock, Jay Hillier, Randy Miner rounding out our top 10. And then from there on back, you've got Dan Harrington, Robert Jordan, Doug Lemon, heartbreak for Kevin Freeze, leading coming through the trial, going to end up in 14th. And then you got Gary Jenkins, Derek Walker, Eric Laurie there at 17th. And then David Bond, the first 1 lap down in 18th. And we continue on to Charles Johnson, Guy Bracco, Tom Dixon, Robert DuPont, James Mohan, and Bob Fitzgerald, our final finisher this evening. But man, I'm gonna be having to do some screenshots and doing some hunting because I don't think I've seen a finish that tight before in a long time. We've had it before, but again, to the 100th actually beyond the 100th of a thousandth of a second. Man, that's tight.
I cannot believe the finish of that race, and just once again, Gabe Butler out of nowhere, just taking the buzzer beater. I've never seen anybody this bulletproof.
Absolutely. That is Gabe Butler for you, though. Pulls it out of a hat every single time. So what we're going to do now is we are going to pull in our third place finisher. And let me tell you, I love having a three-man booth because talking over the commercial break, I'm going to let Guile Brooks and Chris Matthews handle these interviews for you guys tonight. So pulling in Dean Wilkinson here tonight. Guile, I'm going to let you lead off. Let's talk to our third place finisher.
Yeah, I'd say Dean was a popular choice for both of you actually this evening. And I'm saying it's hard not to go for Dean because he's always up front and going after these things. But it was a wild one, I feel like, tonight, Dean, for you. I mean, there's a lot going on there, and then you kind of see kind of everything changing from the late yellow. We were talking about fuel mileage. You last pitted at lap 58. We had to go all the way to lap 78, and then you get the green, white, checkered. How stressed were you on fuel there? Could you have, the big question I think is, had it not finished under that first attempt, would you have had to take a splash of fuel for maybe that second and or third attempt? Because it looks tight on fuel for a lot of you drivers tonight.
It was very close. I was worried, but my fuel guy calculator said, "Don't worry, it'll be fine." And so I'm like, "All right." And then the caution came out, and I'm like, "Oh, thank goodness," because I'm sure I would have ran out of fuel. Did you hear me?
Yeah. I'm sorry. I was waiting for Chris.
I was just trying to figure out. I was looking back at the last lap, and I've been looking at you all race. It seems like you and the TW guys had good strategy up front at the beginning of the race, and then we had a couple of cautions throughout the middle. Was there any point in time where you guys had a couple plans and you had to go from plan A all the way from plan B to plan C? Did it seem like anything was just messing up the flow for you guys?
The plan basically was just to save fuel. Wherever you were, just try to save fuel, and then that's what we tried to do all race. Whether we didn't really hook up too much. I think Todd and Rock got hooked up near the end there, but yeah, for the most part, it's just save fuel all race, no matter where you're at. Yep.
Yeah, I know. Dean, go ahead, Max. I'm sorry.
Yeah, Dean, you were one of my picks there to win the race here tonight. Just came up in the third place finish, but definitely looking at points, right? I'll ask one more question before we let you go. How are you thinking about this points championship now, getting a good top three finish here tonight? I think you had a pretty decent finish last week as well after losing the championship last season. Do y'all have any different strategies at TW to make sure that you guys pull it off this season, starting already 2 races in? What's kind of your strategy and your mindset here, getting ready to race these next 6 to lead into those playoffs?
Well, our strategy's always been try to get a top 10. Top 5 is great, but we've always been, if we can get most of our team in the top 10, we're happy to keep ourselves up in the contention for that championship.
Absolutely. Well, Dean, we look forward to seeing you racing more each and every Thursday night with us. So now we've made it to that point. We're ready to give you the floor here to give any thanks and shout-outs that you might have here for the fans watching out here at Green White Checker TV tonight.
Well, thank you, Green White Checker TV. It's, again, always a blast to go back and watch that replay of the race and listen to you guys commentate. You guys do a great job. Area 51, of course, for putting on the league. And my teammates at TW Motorsports. Couldn't do it without those guys. And, of course, all the drivers and Gabe, good win again.
Absolutely. Well, Dean, congrats on your third place finish. We enjoyed watching the show, watching you come from the back to the front. Can't wait to see you do it again next week. Thank you, Dean.
Thank you, sir. Thanks, Max. Thanks.
All right, that was our third place finisher, Dean Wilkinson. I accidentally let go of a button a little too quick. Sorry about that, folks. But now it's time to talk to our second place finisher here with Vicente Guerrero. Gael, I'll let you start doing the pulling in. I might need more practice at that. I feel bad for Dean there. But Vicente bringing home the second place finish. Gael, I'm going to let you go ahead and lead us off with questions here for our second place finisher tonight.
Yeah, I know it's a great result for Vicente. I know this is going to be one of those, Vicente, where it's a good result, but I know you're going to be a little sour, of course, the way it ended. Because I mean, and that's the nature of the beast in these races. You're pushing, and there was, I think, 2 or the 3 previous cautions were basically just the uncentered push these trucks. I mean, how tough was it? It seemed like these trucks were really like just unhappy. As soon as you got slightly off centered, it was very tough to stay locked onto that truck in front of you and push them. Saying, of course, you kind of being the victim of one of those pushes earlier in the race yourself to then kind of have to try to recover from. I mean, how difficult was it to try to keep those things lined up? And I mean, how bad was it when you were off, let's say maybe not even a foot, like 6 inches? How tough was it to try to just stay pushing even if you were a little bit off centered there?
Yeah, it's pretty tough. But the truck overall is not too bad. But once coming towards the end, the aggression is just a little bit more. So I start sawing on Kevin there, which I was trying to just follow him, but I think I was getting him loose because I was pushing, really hard. But during the race, as long as you're pushing kind of square on the back stretch and not really over pushing, you could clear somebody. But if you're like too aggressive on the pushing, you could get them loose, and I think that's what happened. I got loose, and an off center push too. That doesn't help either. But the truck overall, I really enjoy racing the trucks.
Yeah, yeah, Vicente. We saw a pretty strong run from a lot of people coming all the way from the third row all the way down to the middle. Was there anything different for this week from last week? It seemed like we didn't see a lot of pushing and guys just taking all of the track, kind of like we did today. It seemed like there was a lot of guys that were able to just get out in front, absolutely just slide down to the bottom and kind of make their own, super speedway slide jobs. Was there anything different you felt in the car and just a draft package?
No, it felt like last week. I don't know what the steering ratio was for last week as far as the fixed setup, but I actually like running the 10, 10, and then plus the plus 10 the offset. But either way, I mean, the truck's really good. I like that setup. So
Absolutely. Well, Vicente had such a strong run tonight. I mean, down to the 4th decimal place for you to get that win here tonight. It's about as close as you've probably ever been, at least in the last few races here with us. So, looking forward to seeing you try to get it one more time. But before we let you go, we're going to give you the floor for any thanks and shout-outs that you might want to give here on Green White Checker TV.
well, I definitely want to thank you guys for broadcasting Green White Checker TV and Area 51. Putting on this awesome league. I really enjoy racing this league. Even, I'm sorry to not see my teammates with me, but I'm still thinking about them. That's probably why I'm probably a little bit more motivated just to get up there. So I want to thank my team, Limitless, and everybody else that was trying to work with me. I try to work with everybody. I really feel bad, for Kevin, and I want to apologize for getting him loose and sawing his rear end, but that wasn't my intentions, and I just wanted to make sure it's heard over here on the broadcast. Apologize.
Absolutely. Well, man, don't leave your head down too much. That was a great run from you tonight. I keep cheering for you each and every week. I see that aggressive passion you got out there on the track. Waiting to see that one spot more for you to really show that you are a title contender in this league. So, great run tonight, Vicente, and we'll see you again next week.
Thanks, guys.
All right, that was our second place finisher, Vicente Guerrero. And I guess you all can guess who we're going to have to interview here now. It's like a broken record, and, I like to give this guy a hard time. I get tired of hearing your name here, Gabe. You got that one on a truck for a reason. 2 in a row. Really, probably 3 in a row, because I believe you won the last race of the season last season for the championship. So definitely on the winning streak here in the Thursday Night Truck Series for Area 51. So, Gael, I'm going to let you lead us off one more time, and let's get this interview going with our race winner, Gabe Butler.
Yeah, very, very unfamiliar territory with that number one machine of Gabe Butler getting the win. But Gabe, you kind of we kind of talked about strategies like, oh, maybe what you're going to do is you're going to kind of get a lap lead, roll to the back, and then kind of play it by ear from there. But you kind of actually rolled off to the back right away, didn't get the lap lead, but then obviously cautions kind of changed the outcome of the race, but the risk of riding in the back there at the beginning, you lose the draft as the yellow doesn't come out for an incident. And I mean, it's just at that point, you guys are trying to work together. I think it was you and Dean. I believe it was also the 45 Todd Siebels all working together there. I mean, how do you guys manage those situations? Is it just okay? Hey, there's probably going to be a yellow, or just okay, well, buckle down, heads down. Let's push and let's see if we can close that gap back up to him. Because I mean, you guys did. You got really close during that green flag pit stop. So, I mean, take us through kind of what's the mindset? What do you guys do in those situations there?
Well, basically, you just got to stay in line and push as hard as you can. And we were knocking some laps off, and we were, um, catching them, I believe, not as fast as I would have liked, but we had a pretty good line going. We were catching them, but I didn't mean to go to the back. I was kind of in a lot of pain and still am. I fell off a ladder today, getting down off my roof and busted up my right shoulder pretty good. So, um, I just didn't want the intense racing because how it is with these direct drive wheels and so forth. I like a heavy wheel, and my God, I was just hurting tonight. So that's the reason why I went to the back. Normally I'd try and stay up front a little bit more here this year, but just got lucky there. There's a shame Kevin got turned there at the end. He had that in the bag, I believe, but I got a great push from Todd there at the end on the third lane to get me clear, and I thought it was a goner because Bud, I think, tried to move up and try and get a win, but JD, I think it was, or maybe Duvendek even, got in behind me and got a good push there at the end.
Yeah, Gabe, another. I don't know what it is. This might be your Michael Jordan flu game where he wasn't doing the best either, and then he somehow still pulled a magnificent performance. I would say he even led this race by a shoulder, just leaning the shoulder in.
Yeah.
The closest race I've ever seen in iRacing and in life. Coming straight down to the end. I've never seen something that close. But getting back to the race, and my question. We saw you kind of drop back to a little bit, and right as soon as you dropped back and you had enough distance, we had a wreck. And we saw you and I think Dean Wilkinson and some of these other guys just navigate through the traffic, a little bit of the carnage. Was that a thought to yourself where you're like, hey, these guys might be pushing way too hard, or the flow of the race was just not to your liking?
Probably to your last point there, I didn't like the way the race was going at all. I mean, I wanted to stay close enough to the pack this time that if an incident did happen, I'd be close enough to either try and get through it or avoid it altogether. But the first instance when I did go to the back just to kind of ride as best I could, there was an incident there where a couple of guys got out of shape and we all had to completely check up and kind of put us way back. We lost the pack. So yeah, second part of the race there, decided just to kind of stay on the edge of the main pack, and if not in it a little bit.
Well, Gabe, do you think tonight's finish was maybe one of the closest ones you've had here on the service, down to the fourth decimal point, deciding between you and Vicente Guerrero for the win tonight? What do you think? Is that one of your closer finishes you've had on here?
I think it is. Yeah. I think I had a .0001 at Atlanta a few years ago. I'm not sure how close this was. I didn't look at it yet.
Well, definitely down to the fourth decimal place for you there, bud. But congrats on the second win in a row, showing that you are a threat for this championship. And I don't know what it's going to take for somebody to dethrone you, Gabe, but it's going to take something very spectacular because you are starting out in dominating fashion this season. So now we would like to give you the floor to give any thanks and shout-outs that you might have right here on Green, White, Checkered TV.
A big shout-out to the teammates again, man. We did a really good job tonight. Just unfortunate some guys got in some incidents, and I got super lucky there. Unfortunately, Kevin, like I said, Kevin got turned, and that's a bummer. But and I just got lucky. But big shout out to the boys anyway. I mean, they always do a great job, and shout out to Area 51 for uh, putting this league on, and of course you guys at Green White Checker TV for doing a great job in broadcasting the big show. And I guess we got some good news about Jim today. I guess he might be coming home shortly, so that's awesome. We're always thinking about him. So shout out to Jim.
Absolutely. Looking forward to that too. And looking forward to next week, Gabe, to see if you can continue this dominance and maybe even go for 3 in a row. So, Gabe Butler, on behalf of Green White Checker TV, congrats on your win tonight. Go celebrate with the team, and we'll see you next week.
I appreciate it, fellas, and I'll try and stay off ladders for the coming week. So.
All right, that is your race winner, Gabe Butler. So, boys, just to wrap up here tonight, let's hear what final thoughts you might have. I'll just give the floor to you. Chris, we'll start with you, and then we'll go to Gael. What are y'all's final thoughts about tonight's race and the action you saw?
I've probably never seen 2 great races back to back, and absolutely love watching this league. These guys, even though Gabe's kind of on a streak now, but these guys have definitely been giving everyone a run for their money. There's never really been a closeout winner here. I'm seeing a lot of good consistency and respectful driving even in here. And even when these guys do turn each other, they're definitely, here to say sorry, or, they kind of wish that it didn't go that way. So there's a lot of respect here in this league, and that's just something that I'm very proud of to be a part of and witness.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right, and again, like, you see the contact that's been happening. It's honestly drivers trying to help the other driver push him along, and just unfortunate sometimes the best intentions go wrong. But yeah, no, it was another great one here tonight, and so I hope, maybe Gabe can get a couple of pain pills, kind of top him off with the Guinness, and hopefully he gets better soon, because that's no joke though. I say, unfortunately. That's definitely one. So hopefully he's going to start feeling better and get 100% soon. But man, yeah, like you said, to come and win a race after falling and bouncing off your shoulder pretty solidly, that's not an easy one to take. So definitely for you, Gabe, best wishes as well. Hope you feel 100% here soon. I'll say, that being said, your competition may not be wishing the same. But no, I mean, just a great race as always. Maxwell, Chris, it's been so much fun doing these with you guys. So I think we definitely have found something with the three-man booth here tonight. So we'll see if we can figure that out working forward. And then, like you said, yeah, definitely big excitement for me with my dad. Like I said, improving today is a really big step as well. I didn't get a chance during the broadcast, but definitely also want to shout out Jack Walls. Love seeing him back in the chat. Would love to see you back on track too, Jack. So hope you're doing well, sir. And yeah, Maxwell, I'll let you lead us home.
Absolutely. So before we head home tonight, we do need to look at our finishing order. And Gael, I'm not going to lie, as I'm still learning the buttons here, I'm going to go ahead and let you run through our finishing order tonight, and then we will wrap up this broadcast for the evening. So Gael, tell us where everyone finished here tonight on this Thursday Night Truck Series.
All right, well, you see on top 3, I say we talked about that 4th digit somehow for Gabe and Vicente. Gabe, Top, and Vicente, they're into the tens of thousands of a second. I'll say numbers are hard. Dean Wilkinson bringing it home in second by 2 thousandths over Robert Duvendeck, Bud Steele, Brown in our top 5. And then Todd Siebels, J.D. Crow, Robert Rock, Jay Hilliard, Randy Miner are top 10. And then you got Dan Harrington, Robert Jordan, Doug Lemon, Kevin Fries, Gary Jenkins are top 15 drivers. And then Derek Walker and Eric Laurie rounding out our lead lap finishers, and those unfortunately a lap or more down, including the number 33 of David Bond. And then you got Charles Johnson, Guy Bracco, Tom Dixon, Robert DuPont, James Mohan, and Bob Fitzgerald in 24th position this evening.
Absolutely. That's our running order. Thank you, Gael, for that. And thank you, fans, for tuning in tonight at Green White Checker TV. Do not forget, we always have action going on at Area 51. Tune in Sunday night, same time as tonight, to catch the Sunday Night Superspeedway Xfinity Series. Always an action-packed show there. Monday nights are now a fun night where you guys can come and be a part of the action in the hosted rooms, driving those Lotus 49 vehicles around some very iconic tracks. And then do not forget the Dark Horse Area 51 IndyCar Series on Tuesday nights. Those guys just had a race at Dover, and my goodness, I don't know how those guys race around such a short track like that, but you thought last week was action-packed. Wait till you see this week. So we're getting ready to sign off here for the evening. Glad you were here to join the action. Be with us next week as we get ready for more Super Speedway action here on the Thursday Night Truck Series. So for myself, Guile Brooks, and Chris Matthews, we are signing off. We want to say have a great night. See you next week. Thank you, and good night.